A team of part-time paranormal investigators use homemade gizmos to track the supernatural, sharing their adventures online. As their hunted stakeouts become more terrifying, they begin to uncover an unimaginable apocalyptic conspiracy. Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Movie Files. Elliot here today to share with you all my spoiler-free review of the new Amazon Prime new original series, Truth Seekers. Very excited to let you all know what I thought about this series and if you should check it out when it becomes available October 30th. Before we dive into the discussion, as you can see on the screen now, make sure you're following me on all my other social media accounts. That way you all can stay up to date on what's going on over here at Movie Files. If you are new to the channel, welcome to the community. Make sure you all subscribe, and while you're at it, hit that bell so you don't miss any of my other TV coverage, movie reviews, live streams, all the fun things we do on this very channel. It would mean the world to me if you all can give this video a thumbs up. Helps out the channel, but also really appreciate it. And in the comments, let's discuss Truth Seekers. Were you guys excited for this series? I mean, you have Nick Frost, you have Simon Pegg. Let me know your thoughts there. And then once you've seen it, let's discuss it. Your pros, your cons. Do you want to see more from this dream team to have a second season for the show? Let's discuss it in the comments below. So before I give you all my pros, my cons, and ultimately if you should watch this series, let me give you a little insight on who's in front and behind the camera, and also a little bit of a character breakdown. So let's get into it. So the creators behind the show is James Serafinowicz, Nat Saunders, Nick Frost, and Simon Pegg. All 8 episodes were directed by Jim Field-Smith. And speaking of those 8 episodes, they ranged in the runtime between 26 and 30 minutes in total. Our main characters consisted of Nick Frost as Gus, a guy who works at the most boring job you can have, which is installing broadband for the Smile Company, but he uses his job as a cover to perform amateur paranormal investigations. You have Emma Dorsey as Astrid, a very mysterious character who's seeking answers. You have Samson Kayo as Elton, Gus's new partner in performing amateur paranormal investigations. You have Malcolm McDowell as Richard, Gus's aging father. And rounding out the main cast, you have Simon Pegg as Dave, Gus's boss and the head of the Smile Broadband Company. So kicking this review off with my positives, I got to start with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. I always love how they attach themselves to projects that tend to play in different genres, and particularly in the horror and comedy realm, and this continues that trend. It amazes me the mixture of comedy that doesn't feel over the top with this show. It feels more like subtle situational humor, and surprisingly, this show has some effective good scares, from the burning ghosts to the witches, the creepy characters, and even the world-ending cult. Now, with all those supernatural things going on, you have to have some characters for the audience to gravitate towards, right? To have some fun with. And this show definitely offers that with some standout characters, starting off with Gus, who's played by Nick Frost. You know, like I said up top, Gus works for this Smile Company who goes around to make the internet what we all know it to be, which is reliable, right? But in doing these different Wi-Fi fixings, he has this new partner tag along by the name of Elton John, and Elton's very timid, he jumps from job to job, and you find out a little bit more about his character as the season goes on. But I love their back and forth because, again, you know, when it comes to Gus, he fixes people Wi-Fi in the day, but at night he's looking for the creepy ghosts. He's looking for supernatural stories to post on his YouTube channel, which was very funny. And in doing so, he brings Elton John along, and you know, when you get someone that's really interested in the supernatural, you have to partner them up with someone that's not into the supernatural. So I love their chemistry on screen. And in the midst of them kind of finding these supernatural things, they run into Astrid, who's a very mysterious character, who's lost, who's seeking answers on her own. So they're kind of our main trio, our main 3 characters, and they bring a lot of charm. They have a lot of good chemistry together, but they're also paired with some other good characters as well. Now, those other 2 characters I was mentioning were Richard and Helen. Now, Richard is the dad of Gus, and Richard is, you know, played by Malcolm McDowell, who is really great and really funny in this show. And he's just his dad. He's at home. He's poking around in Gus's things. He's on the internet himself, trying to build his own kind of YouTube channel, right? I really love his adventure. And you partner him up with Helen, who is the sister of Elton John, who's has a reason why she's a little, at first when you meet Helen, she is very kept to herself. She has a really good YouTube channel with makeup tutorial when it comes to CGI and visual effects, but she doesn't like to interact with other people. And again, once you kind of learn why she is that way, you kind of understand why she was like that in the first half of the season. But those 2 characters, again, Helen and Richard, brought a lot of heart to the show. You really cared for them, and again, they were our main characters, kind of motivation to keep people safe, to make sure the world doesn't end. So I like the addition to those 2 characters to our main cast as well. Now, as I had mentioned, this show does have some pretty good effective scares. Now, me personally, it didn't necessarily frighten me, but I was very impressed by the visual effects. I was impressed by how they didn't rely on jump scares. It was just, again, like, what would you do in this situation, right? And I think we all have watched the shows on, whether it be TLC or other shows, whether it be Truth Seekers, paranormal investigators, paranormal movies. We all kind of have that mysterious thought of, are ghosts out there? What's on the other side when you pass away? So I like how the show kind of dives into that. And at times, this show does get pretty dark and pretty sinister when it comes to more mature horror vibes. You see people die. You see people's throats getting cut. So the show doesn't shy away it makes you laugh. But for some people out there, I know they're going to probably be pretty terrified because this show goes that extra step when it comes to scaring you. And also something I wanted to mention, my positives, I really enjoyed the first half of the show because each episode they would start off with like this cold open with this kind of witch trials or how someone died or someone back in the war times becoming supernatural. I really kind of like how it kind of gives you those Easter eggs. And then that particular episode would dive into the origins of what happened at the beginning. So I really kind of loved how each episode for the first half of the show really was kind of its self-contained episode. And we were going on these adventures with our characters. I thought the first half was probably and easily the most compelling, most entertaining half for me personally. So now let's kind of transition into my criticisms with the show. So I will say again, the first half of the show, episodes 1 through 4, were entertaining. They were funny. You had some really good character moments. Again, they were almost like kind of self-contained episodes where you go on these kind of investigations within the paranormal. But then as the episodes kind of unfold, and I'm meaning episodes 5 through 8, we then start to pinpoint on one storyline that involves a cult, a world-ending cult, and I really didn't vibe with that particular episode, or I should say that particular storyline, which I'll talk a little bit about later. But before I get into that, some other things that come to mind. I mentioned, Nick Frost as Gus, a lot of fun, really cool character, and then him tagging along with Astrid and Elton John, and again Richard, and also Helen. But when it comes to Simon Pegg, he was fun. He was kind of sprinkled in the first half, and then he gets more involved in the second half. But again, I'm not a fan of the second half, so I wish Simon Pegg as Dave, the boss of the Smile Company, was more implemented in the first half. So that was something minor. I just wish he was involved more. But going into, again, kind of the meat and potatoes of my criticisms, the second half of the show, episodes 5 through 8, involve, without spoilers, this cult. And that storyline to me was that's when the first half of the show is more comedy horror. The second half of the show becomes more of a drama, kind of serious show, which it worked because I liked the characters, but the main characters involving that, the main cult leader and all the other characters that are surrounding him, his goons and all that stuff, and then tying Richard into the mix of that storyline, I wasn't a fan. I was not a fan of it. I just felt like, again, once we go from this comedy kind of horror to this more serious drama, that kind of tonal shift didn't work for me, and it really just became less entertaining and more serious and grimming, and the world's ending, and I wish they would have balanced the comedy more in the second half where it was more focused on the drama. Now, before I give you guys my overall thoughts of the show and if you should check it out, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss any of the content. Now, with that being said, let me give you my overall thoughts. So at the end of the day, this is a super quick binge. I really enjoyed the main cast. I thought they had a lot of good chemistry. Episodes 1 through 4 were a lot of fun. They had some good scares, some really good character moments. And even with my flaws of episodes 5 through 8, I would still say this was an interesting show. Again, it's super quick to watch. And even though the back half wasn't as fun and entertaining, I would still recommend you guys give this a watch. And who knows, by the way that the show ended, there may be another season, which I would actually be into. So that's just my overall thoughts of Truth Seekers. Give it a watch, and when you do, let me know what you all thought of it in the comments below. Let me know your pros, your cons, your favorite moments, your favorite characters, and would you be intrigued and interested to see a season 2? Let's talk about it in the comments. As always, make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell so you don't miss any of my other videos. Make sure you check out all my other content that's currently on the channel, other movie reviews, TV reviews, live streams, and all the fun things we do on this very channel. Thank you all for watching this review. Hope you're staying safe, and we'll see you all on the next video.